Seriously, the entire neighborhood is conspiring against me being able to film this video right now. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Cynthia of Cynthia Plans, and today I'm starting the new year a little bit differently. It's a little nerve-wracking for me, but I am in front of the camera. I am bringing you my planner stack for 2020 video, and in order to talk about what I'll be doing with my planners, I could just do an overhead video like I always do, but I thought it might be fun for me to actually do something different and get in front of the camera for a change. So I'm here today to talk about that, and I hope you'll stick around and watch this video. So this here is my planner stack for 2020. It's a little heavy. This is all of them here. You can see I've got 3 coiled planners and 1 folio. It's a heavy stack. I think for people who are kind of, I would say, a little uninitiated in the planner community, it may seem kind of bananas that I would have that many planners, but for me, having different planners in different places, depending on what I'm using them for, is sometimes more helpful and more effective in that sense. So that's why I have more than one. Not all of these planners I use every day or plan to use every day. Probably won't be using some of them more than once a week, if that in some cases. So definitely it looks a little more intimidating than it will be probably on a given basis. So to start with, we'll start with the smallest one in the stack, and that's my Erin Condren Petite Planner Folio system. So Erin Condren maybe a year or two ago started the folio system. This particular cover that says 2020 and has the foiling on it was in the most recent seasonal surprise box, and I was really excited to get it because petite planners I knew were going to be a part of my planner system going into 2020. They were helpful to me in 2019, and so to have a new cover, especially one that's so festive, was really exciting. So this is the one that I'll be using. Inside of my Petite Planner Folio system, I do have all of the notebooks already in here that can be included in this. So the first one that I have is the Q1 Petite Planner here, and so this is going to be January through March, and this is a daily planner. I use it kind of like an hourly planner. I put times on the days of the week. Each day here you can kind of see how I do that. It's pretty small and little, but I kind of do that just to give myself a guide for what I'm doing each day. I kind of treat it like a daily hourly planner. When I got the new ones for 2020, the new petite planners, I wasn't really crazy about this part here, these hexagons. I just feel like it's kind of a useless addition to it. I think what they had there before, which was the monthly calendar, which is now, I think yeah, it's just like now kind of floating like this in this corner, was more useful there on top than it is down here. I think I actually whited it out on this day here and covered it up with a sticker, only because it's just like the placement is really weird and it's super tiny, so it's not super useful. So yeah, I actually just whited this out and put a sticker over it, because the other thing that I did in my previous year of using this past petite planner is kind of put like my biggest thing for the day in this section here. So if it was like going to a friend's house or having a party or something like that, or just some big milestone, sometimes I'd put Happy Meal there if I knew I was going to be getting a few different packages. I would put it in that space. So I'm kind of disappointed that they changed that, and I'm hopeful for 2021 that they may listen to our feedback and change it back, or do something a little bit more helpful and effective there, but it remains to be seen. It's only 2020, so we'll see what happens. But I do like the petite planner system enough to continue using it despite those changes, and I'm hopeful that with my massive sticker collection that I'll find something to put in these little hexagon spots here. So like for the first day of the year, I put this little sticker with coffee, and then I used one of the Erin Condren foiled stickers. This one says "Let's do this," so I think I'll probably have something that I can put in that spot there. Moving on, we have the Petite Planner, the meal planner, and I do use this pretty regularly. It's how I plan out my meals for each week. I try to follow the Ultimate Portion Fix, which is a Beachbody program. I am not an active Beachbody coach or anything like that, so please don't let this topic or you know, this part of our conversation turn you off. I just like their products as a consumer, and so I follow their nutrition system and I do their programs, and I do have, like, I'm a discount coach is basically what they call it, so I'm signed up as a coach to receive a regular discount, but I have no interest in forming a team or anything like that. I can barely sometimes keep up with my own nutrition and exercise, let alone try to be motivating other people. So all of that to say, I do use the meal planner pretty regularly. I'll do my meal plan on this side. Since I follow Ultimate Portion Fix, I eat anywhere between 5 to 6 times a day. And so it's kind of like, I'll break it up a little bit. So normally it's just like one box, but I put a line through each one and kind of split up what the different meals are. The other thing I've gone ahead and done is cover up the days of the week. This planner starts on Monday or it starts on a Sunday, and for me, yeah, it starts on a Sunday. For a meal planner, it's better for me if it starts on a Monday. That's just kind of how my brain works. Monday is usually my day to reset if I've gotten a little off track on the weekend and stuff like that. So I typically white it out and cover it with like a longer washi strip, but I did happen to have some days of the week washi, so I went ahead and just cut those up and covered the days after whiting them out. And then over here, we'll do the list of things based on what I'm planning. And I will go ahead and transfer what I have here, if I remember, to my dashboard, because it's easier to transport when I go to the grocery stores. So I kind of do the work twice, but I'm okay with that because I feel like this is kind of just like my brain dump to figure out all the things that I need. And then I use the dashboard to like organize, since thankfully it's sectioned off by like produce and dairy and stuff like that. So this doesn't do that. That's one thing that I do think that they could improve on in it, is that it's not sectioned, it's just like a list. So while I'm writing my kind of brain dump of all the ingredients I know I'm going to need to buy for the meal plan here, I do mentally try and keep it organized, but sometimes I may put something or move on to another section of the grocery store, but then remember I had an additional produce item I needed to add. So that is the Erin Condren meal planner. I have the wellness log, and this is a new notebook for me, so I haven't started with it yet. But I'll be using this to kind of do some habit tracking. Last year when I was in the, last year when I was in the Hobonichi system, I had really consistent habit tracking going on week to week, and I kind of lost that when I moved to Erin Condren. So like overall, I think switching back to Erin Condren was a good thing for me, and I'm glad that I did it, but then I kind of started slacking on my habits, my healthy habits. So my plan is to make this section kind of a habit tracker here, and then have like some accountability for my different healthy habits each day. I don't really know what I'm going to do with this section over here yet, because I already have a meal plan in my meal planner, so I don't really see myself using this section here very much, but I'm sure I could try and figure something out. There's so many people with great ideas on Instagram and in Facebook groups that I'm sure at some point I'll come across someone that has something clever, or I may come up with something on my own, and when I do, I'll definitely share it with you all. The last thing I have in here is something that I'm probably not going to show the inside of like totally. It's just one of the focused notebooks, and this is a dot grid notebook, and so it's just got the dot grid here, and you can go ahead and use it kind of like a bullet journal. This is kind of like my journaling, self-care, mental health check-in journal, which is part of why I don't really want to show what I have in here so far. It's just ways for me to kind of meditate and reflect on things that I've experienced, kind of work through my emotions with regard to different situations that happen in the course of the year. And so this notebook will be kind of my place to do that and do some self-reflection. So this is my folio system. The first thing, I didn't mention how often I use these things. The meal planner I use probably weekly, if not a little bit more, as I go grocery shopping and stuff like that. And then of course I refer back to it if I'm setting up my planner and I need to know what I have meal planned for the week. So that I probably use at minimum weekly. The PetitePlanners I try to use daily. The first quarter and all the rest of the quarters, a daily system that I've also turned into hourly. That I try to use basically daily. I will say that depending on how busy I get, I may sometimes not use any planner at all, and so the daily petite planner kind of falls by the wayside, but I do try to use that daily. The wellness log, that's new for me, so I'm not sure. My hope is to use it daily, but we're going to see how it goes. And then for the notebook, it's trying to kind of just like when I feel like that is a space where I need to kind of just set my mind aside and give it time. So that one, I don't really think I'm holding myself to using it any particular amount of time during the day or week or month or anything like that. So planner number 1. Planner number 2 matches with planner number 1 because I went ahead and purchased this beautifully foiled planner cover from Erin Condren. It's really reflective, and I'm realizing you can see some of the things in my bedroom that are a little messy right now, so I'm not going to keep showing that open. But I've got my planner here. If you are a subscriber and you've been following me, you know I use this every single week. I definitely love my hourly. This is my most recent spread for this week, New Year's week. I'll be planning my Let's Flamingo Beaches week here pretty soon. But this planner I use at least once a week when I'm doing my plan with me and setting up my week at a glance. That's not to say I never go back to it during the week. It's just kind of like I set myself up for the week, kind of like go through the process of writing everything down and giving myself some thoughts about what's going to be coming up in the later part of the week. So for me, and I kind of talk about this in a blog that I just came out with today as well, the mental exercise, can't talk. The exercise of using your mental muscles and writing stuff down, even if it's just one time, is incredibly helpful for me. So even though I write stuff in my daily planner and I make all sorts of to-do lists, kind of taking that time to sit there for about 30 minutes or so and literally plan out the entire week helps me kind of keep those things stuck in my mind. So I know I have something, I may not know exactly what, but I know I have something happening on a Thursday evening, and then I can go back to my planner and check in on it if I don't happen to remember. But for me, this is a planner that I like to use weekly, and I don't really put a lot of pressure on myself to use it more than that. It's a space for me to get creative and decorate and everything, and so that's mostly what the purpose of this planner is for, and I'm fine with that. The other thing that I do use it for are for the monthly spreads. So I've got the monthly dashboard here, and I set that up at the beginning of the month. When I'm planning my week out, I will refer back to this because I'll put birthdays and different things that I want to work on for my blog in that section. And then I do have the monthly, which I usually just set it up the one time at the beginning of the month, and I may refer back to it, but it's not necessarily like something that I'm always going to, because I try to keep the monthly section that comes in the daily petite planner and this one more up to date. This one is kind of just like repeating and kind of keeping things consistent, so it's really unlikely that I go back to this more than once. And then of course on the other side of the monthly dashboard are the blank dot grid pages, and that I do once a month when I go back to memory plan or memory journal, however it is that you want to call it, memory keeping, scrapbooking. That's just at the end of the month, or depending on what my schedule's like, into the next month that is happening when I go back and memory plan. So that is my Erin Condren life planner, and yeah, that's what I'm using it for this year. So the next planner that I have in my lineup is the Cultivate What Matters Powersheets. This is new for me, so the goal I think with this is going to be to look at it at least once a week, so I can kind of figure out, of the things that I need to do daily, make sure I have that in my daily petite planner system. Not necessarily have to come back to this because it is quite large, and it's not something that I would want to have to carry around with me or anything like that. It's got really personal information, so I really just want to kind of keep it tucked away and for my eyes only kind of thing. So definitely at least weekly I'll be coming back in here to make sure I'm staying up to date with my daily and weekly tasks, and then of course at least once a month I'll be coming back to kind of reflect on what I accomplished, what I didn't accomplish, and then kind of readjusting my game plan, my action plan for the next month going forward in order to reach my goals overall for the rest of the year. So The Cultivate What Matters Powersheets is a really powerful goal setting system. I feel like I've benefited a lot from it to start with just doing the prep work, not even necessarily starting the action steps toward my goals just yet. It's got me thinking about life in some different ways that I really haven't thought about or given myself the time to sit through and think about. So I really think so far it's been a useful, helpful tool for me. It's very structured, so I wouldn't say that it's for everybody. If you are overwhelmed by this much structure, or having to spend a lot of time being introspective and journaling and stuff like that is not really your jam, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this, but so far I have really enjoyed it, and I am hopeful to see what happens with it the rest of the year. I'm considering the idea of trying to figure out a way to do some video content with it, but it is incredibly personal, so I haven't quite figured out what that looks like yet, but stay tuned and maybe there will be more videos about the Powersheets. If you're interested in it, please let me know, because if there's not any interest, then I won't really give it that much thought and try and figure it out too much, but if there is interest, I'll think about a way to make it useful, helpful content to you, with also keeping some amount of my goal journey and everything like that, growth, a little bit more intimate and personal to me. The last one is the Live Rich Planner by The Budget Mom. I got this planner earlier last year, and I started it in September, and admittedly I've been a little inconsistent with it. It's a lot. I think if I were to do things over again, I probably would have started with her, I think it's Budget by Paycheck workbook, and started more simply with that than the whole planner. There are things I like about this planner that she doesn't have in the workbook that were part of the reason why I decided to purchase it in the first place. But since I've kind of like tried to streamline and think about my planning system a little bit more intentionally, I do think a lot of things that I think are cool in here are not necessarily things that I have time to spend time on. Just some of the features that are in here. So I'm gonna skip to a month. I don't think I've quite filled out. Yeah, I haven't quite filled out my January budget information yet, so I can show you this. This is what the Budget Mom planner looks like for each month. You've got the personal finance section, so you kind of talk about what your monthly income's gonna be, your monthly expenses, month overview, total income and expenses by the time it's all over. There's a savings challenge, areas to cut spending, total spent this month, financial goals, your Y word, and then also it's undated, so you can put the month and year. You also, with the monthly expenses, have the opportunity to say how much you're budgeting for, what the actual cost was, and if there was any difference, plus or minus here, and then you can check off if it's an auto pay or if it's manually paid. On the other side, this is something I really like because I think I need to start doing this more. It's going to keep me more accountable to not spend money so uselessly, is a daily spending. And again, this planner is undated, so it just comes with like these gray circles, and then you can fill in the days of the week depending on what month you're in. There's a monthly debt progress. You put the beginning balance and kind of like tick it off as you go along. Your savings challenge, you have 4 options that you can put in here, and you can track your progress on there month to month as well. So it's a really helpful, useful tool, I think, as far as managing your personal finances go and kind of keeping yourself accountable with your goals. The other thing that it has is the monthly calendar, and again, all of this is undated, so you can go ahead and put like important things that are coming up. If you've got any annual bills that are due or something like that. For me, I've got my Amazon Prime renewing in January. I've got my Beachbody subscription renewing in January. So all of those things I put in this monthly because they're not bills that I typically have. Then she has a weekly view for people that really just want their budget planner and their actual planner to be in the same space. So it looks like this. Again, undated. This is hourly. I don't really care for this section, so I don't use it every single week. Plus, I already have my Erin Condren. And then the other thing that she has in here is personal planning. So let me fold this and show it to you. You can do your weekly meal prep. So if you're a person that doesn't want to use the Erin Condren meal planner, or you've struggled to find a meal planner that works, you have the option to do that in this planner here. There's a shopping list, habit trackers, important reminders. And then on this section here, you can say what week it is, bring it a little bit closer. Your main goal for the week, this week's focus, this week's wins, to-do list work, to-do list progress, and then housework, different chores that you can do each day of the week. For next week, things that you want to keep in mind, and then make it work. So things that you just really need to get to. So that is the Budget Moms Leverage Planner kind of in a nutshell, and that's the case, having this personal planning section, and then also, like I was showing you, the hourly section with the days of the week at a weekly view in each week going forward through the rest of the month. But like I said, a lot of that is not super useful to me. I think the two sections that are probably the most useful are the monthly, where you can go ahead and put those bills that are not your typical bills for the month, or any trips you're taking, or things that you need to be conscious that you're budgeting for. But then also too, just the entire personal finance section. I think it's really cool. For me, this doesn't replace my Dave Ramsey budgeting sheets that I print out from him. I do that, and then I kind of just like keep everything coordinated in here. This is kind of like how would I describe this? This is kind of like Command Central or like Mission Control or something like that. And then my budgeting sheets, I do them bi-weekly. The budgeting sheets from Dave Ramsey, they're supposed to be monthly, but for me, I like to budget by my paychecks that I have, and I have at least 2 every single month. So, and I budget based on the 2-week period instead of the whole month. So that's not something that he necessarily, not that he doesn't advocate for, but that's not how he approaches it. But the Budget Mom is definitely one of those budget by paycheck, and if you're a person that does it every single week because you get paid every single week or 2 weeks, she definitely has options in her system that allow you to be able to do that. So that is the last planner in my planner stack. All of this to say that I think this is what my system is going to be. I've already done some work in my Powersheets over here to kind of figure out how often I'm going to be checking in with some of these planners and what my intentions are for them, so I don't get off track by shiny new things. That is the goal. I do have to say I'm feeling really good about my Erin Condren. I've had it since July, and it's been the most consistent that I've been with the planner in a little while now. I do feel like I need to make some improvement getting a little bit more consistent with the PetitePlanner. I had been doing really well to start with, and then I kind of fell off the map, so I'm hoping starting in January I can be a little bit more consistent with that. So that is my goal for 2020 as far as my planner system goes. I'm really excited about the Powersheets, and I'm hoping that they are a really useful tool for me through the rest of the year, not just in this early stage of getting the prep work done. But that is going to be the planner stack for Cynthia in 2020. So if you have questions about these planners, or if you want to know more about them, I will be linking all of these products in the description below, but you can also ask questions. I'll try as best as I can to answer them. Some of these products are a little bit newer to me, like the Powersheets and Leverage Planners, so I may not be able to answer them effectively, but I'll definitely, as much as I try, to help you all out with getting you the information you need if you're interested in any of these planners. So with that, we're gonna call this video over, and I will see you hopefully soon on the other side of this camera. I haven't quite figured out how many videos and what my videos are gonna be when I do get from behind the camera and do the overhead thing and kind of get in front of it, but I do hope to be able to do that a little bit more often this year. I'm gonna be honest, a little nerve-wracking to get in front of the camera, and a couple people have remarked that they feel like I'm really natural at it, but honestly, the whole time I'm doing this, I'm incredibly nervous. I start stumbling through my words. I know I'm a really fast talker. I've been told that since I was an adolescent, so I get super conscious about that too, but I'm hopeful that I can kind of work through those fears a little bit and start coming up with some cool content that requires me to get a little bit more personal and in front of the camera with you all. It helps that I'm made up today. I'm filming this on New Year's Eve, and we have dinner plans in a few hours from now. I went and got my hair done and everything like that, so I was like, well, let me take advantage of the fact that I got my hair done and I have to put on a full face of makeup for this dinner and get in front of the camera and get this done. So with that, I hope you guys have a great new year. I hope if you're new here that you can consider subscribing and that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and like I said, any feedback, any questions, any interest in learning a little bit more of these planners and ideas for other content, please let me know. I love you all and wish you all well in 2020, and I will see you back next time. Bye.